The case of Mapp v. Ohio might seem like it was made for TV. Look at this. It's got a bomb, gambling, a world-famous boxing promoter, a determined heroine, and a cop who breaks the rules when they get in his way. But to people that study the Constitution, what makes Mapp v. Ohio really exciting is the Fourth Amendment.
Fourth Amendment is vital.
The Fourth Amendment requires that we be free from unreasonable searches and seizures.
The Fourth Amendment gives us a right to privacy, preventing government from searching or taking us, our homes, papers, or property without a good reason. It says so right here. The government has to show probable cause, that is, a good reason to suspect that you've done something wrong. And in many cases, it has to issue a warrant to put its reasons and what it's looking for down in writing.
That protects you from the police or from the government generally invading your privacy.
It really is an essential right of the people.
But there's a problem. The Constitution doesn't exactly say how to make sure this right is enforced. Back in 1957, Dollree Mapp thought she knew.
I had to stand up for my rights.
She did. And when police rang Dollree Mapp's doorbell, they had no idea they were about to open the door to a new era in American civil liberties. But they did have a pretty good idea they were going to get a fight from Dollree Mapp.
I could not just ignore this. My freedom was at stake.
Before dawn on May 20th, 1957, a small bomb went off at this house in Cleveland, Ohio. The owner of the house, Donald King, wasn't hurt, but he was pretty scared, and he called the police to investigate.
Don King was well known to law enforcement. He was suspected of running an illegal gambling business known as the numbers game.
The numbers game was essentially a lottery long before lotteries were run by states. In 1957, this kind of gambling was highly illegal. Sometimes that led to violence between the people called clearinghouse operators.
The clearinghouse operator is the one who sort of oversees the whole operation.
And Donald King, who later became world famous as Don King, promoter of Muhammad Ali and other boxing champions, not to mention that hair. Young Donald King had a record and a number of encounters with police over the numbers game. So when his house was bombed, he called the division of the police department he knew personally.
He called the Bureau of Special Investigations.
This division was in charge of cracking down on the numbers game, and it was headed by Detective Carl Delau. Carl Delau was not just an 11-year veteran of the Cleveland Police Department, but a World War II vet as well. A hard-nosed cop, he didn't like people he thought were connected to the numbers game, and he figured King's house was bombed by one of them.
When the police were investigating this, there were a number of other racketeers who they suspected of involvement in this bombing.
3 days after the bombing, Delau got a tip that a possible suspect might be hiding in a house on Milverton Road. He knew who lived there, Dollree Mapp.
He had suspected that she was involved in gaming for some time.
Dollree Mapp.
Most of my friends called me Dolly. Very few called me Dollree.
Okay, Dollree Mapp was known around town. Tough, outgoing, and driven, she was married to local boxing star Jimmy Bivens. Later, she was engaged to world light heavyweight champion Archie Moore. She owned this house in Shaker Heights, one of Cleveland's nicest neighborhoods, living upstairs and renting out the basement. She was a fighter then, and she's a fighter now.
She's a very determined person. She doesn't suffer fools. She's very forthright. In many respects, she was a woman ahead of her time.
I took care of myself. I'm not going to sit down and let you know you run over me.
Sergeant Delau knew this wasn't going to be easy. He told the two officers with him,
I know Dollree, and she's not going to let us in this house.
But they believed that the suspect was there. When they showed up at the house, they just said, we'd like to come inside and talk to you.
And Ms. Mapp said to them, do you have a search warrant?
Most of us have learned about search warrants from TV or the movies, but a warrant actually comes from the Fourth Amendment.
A search warrant must be very specific about what is to be searched, where is it going to be searched, and who is going to be searched. And it must be signed by a judge who is neutral, who can read the document and determine that probable cause actually exists for going into this person's house or car or place of business.
The whole idea of a search warrant is to get a second opinion from a neutral and detached magistrate about whether the police really have enough cause to search your home for whatever they're looking for.
And so that piece of paper, really does represent the Fourth Amendment.